Hello everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Good morning to Vignesh, Prerna, Niranjan, Lokesh, Sadhna, Madhavan, Shubham, Ramesh, P477, Kalpana, Tripti, Sweet, Study Lover, Nayak, Crypto Freak, Lakshmi, Balakrishnan. A very good morning to all of you and other viewers who are watching right now. Guys, today is 18th of August and in the today's session we are going to discuss entire analysis of Hindu and all the articles will with background and way forward we are going to see. And also I would like to tell you that you can download explainer notes of this entire session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. So from there you can download the detailed notes. Now, first of all, let's take overview of newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are relevant in the today's newspaper. So here we have the Delhi edition of Hindu newspaper. Now, first article guys that we have is Chandrayaan propulsion lander modules separated. Now, basically guys, as we talk about the Chandrayaan 3, so Chandrayaan 3 is scheduled to make a is scheduled to land on moon surface in one next week, and in that capacity the lander the propulsion and lander modules they have got separated. Now one thing is that you are not required to track every day that okay, now the orbital change has happened, now this module has separated, now this module has separated. Once this Chandrayaan 3 will land on moon's surface, then we will see what important findings have been delivered, because by the time your exams will come, all these things will become clear. So as of now, not required to track that much. Then after that, moving on, no more bulk SIM cards as government steps in to curb fraud. So guys, we have seen this particular thing that by the fraudulent SIM cards, cyber attacks are being carried, phishing attacks are being carried, cyber frauds are being carried, and even in terrorist activity, they are being used. So basically now the government has provided that there needs to be indisputable verification for every SIM card. SIM card dealers who have given the SIM cards without proper verification, they have been blocked, and government has taken in this particular direction multiple steps to ensure that without identity you cannot buy a SIM card. Fine. Now you are not required to go too much in detail in this particular article, but when we are talking about internal security, cyber threats, cyber frauds, we can give one-liner reference of such kind of things. Then moving on after that, we have one article here, drones to monitor progress quality of assets produced at MG Narega work sites. We'll take this particular article for exam and we'll see what important thing has been given. Then after regional section, Modi silent whenever nation faces crisis, political statements, etc. And then these advertisements, etc. has been there. So nothing much important is given in these particular pages. So directly guys will reach to the directly will be reaching to editorial page and we'll see what important articles are there. Now here we have article fighting stereotypes. So we have seen yesterday that Supreme Court has released a handbook on combating gender stereotypes. So the article has come on that particular line. We'll take briefly this article, what it is talking about. Then gaps in birth and death registration. We'll take this particular article also for the exam. Then noble intention article talks about the PM Vishwakarma scheme that was announced by government recently. So we'll take what important things have been provided here in this particular article. Then further moving on, word choice in data protection law, a dilution of rights. So basically yesterday we have seen this particular article, and I think 8-9 times till now we have seen this particular article. Article is talking about that how government in the name of privacy, digital data protection is collecting all of your data and they are free to see that data, but people are not being given right on their data. So basically that kind of a criticism has been given here. Then next moving to this, is there a need to replace IPC, CRPC and Indian Evidence Act? So we'll see this particular article with respect to the examination as what it is containing. Fine. Then further moving on guys, then further text and context page, graphically speaking, India tops AI projects in GitHub. Okay, so basically guys here what it is providing, so AI the global count of AI publications between 2010 to 2021, so different countries, number of AI publications, types of publications, collaborations, and these data have been given. Again guys, moving on, much important substance is not there for UPSC examination here. At GitHub, how many collaborations, how many projects have been taken, such things have been given. Okay, so explainer aspect is not there. Then moving on, next page, how made in heaven disturbs conventional ideas about marriage. So the article is talking about this OTT series that is Made in Heaven, and basically different premises, plots given in this particular series Made in Heaven, they are being taken up. It is a limelight article. Much important substance is not given in this article, so I'll not advise you to go too much in detail. Then employees in Manipur transfer to safer districts. Okay, CJ asked if petitioner want Supreme Court to assess government's wisdom in repealing Article 370. So basically guys, right now in Supreme Court, the arguments in Supreme Court right now, the hearing on dilution of Article 370 is going on, and on that particular direction, almost every day one article comes. Are you required to read this everyday arguments and debates being made in Supreme Court? No. When a final judgment will come, then only you need to see this particular thing. After that guys, moving on. BJP announces candidate list for Chhattisgarh. Nothing important given in this particular direction. Here, with huge allocation technology will transform judiciary, says CGI. So yesterday, we have seen this particular article. Okay, actually the day before yesterday, and yesterday we have seen this particular article that Supreme Court has announced the construction of new court complexes, new courtrooms, new judges chambers in Supreme Court, so that the number of judges in Supreme Court can be increased. Moreover, also the e-court project phase 3 has been launched, which will lead to technology integration in judiciary. And by that technology integration, what will happen, the time that takes to dispose the cases, the time takes to file a case, all these particular things will come down. So article here talks about that the Chief Justice of India has expressed that by this particular thing, judiciary will become more fast. Then WHO chief asks nation to unlock power of traditional medicine. We'll take this particular article. Ram Jhula developed crack because of the floods. Then on business page, supply shocks not over, inflation to be well above 6%. In fact, recently we have seen that inflation has again been very high. Okay, then after that, moving on. Apparel market to remain sluggish amid academic demand. Axis Bank to provide loans via RBI platform. We don't have much important articles again guys here. Understand this particular thing, every other article is not important. The articles which directly corresponds either to our syllabus, or we need to track those particular developments which might be asked in the examination on the basis of the patterns of the questions that have been asked. In this particular direction, these evolutionary trends, statements, okay, these things are not that much important. Then on world page, 129 arrested in Pakistan after mob attacks. China shows support for Sri Lanka's debt relief ahead of IMF review. So basically guys, we have seen it that Sri Lanka is now facing economic crisis, and in this economic crisis, Sri Lanka is expecting the financial help from many countries. India and Japan have helped Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has approached IMF, and from IMF it is seeking the support, financial support under the IMF's extended fund facility. So here China has also assured support to Sri Lanka. Fine. Now guys, when we talk about the China and Sri Lanka, understand this particular thing. China often has tried to claim strategic assets in Sri Lanka. For example, Hambantota port in Sri Lanka has been taken by China for 99 years of lease. And as Sri Lanka lies in vicinity of southern India, we are always concerned about Chinese acquisition in Sri Lanka or China and Sri Lanka engagement, and often deliberately even to irk India, China tries to go near to Sri Lanka. Okay, so these particular kind of angles you should be keeping in your mind. Then guys, further moving on in this particular direction, then we have the sports page here. Okay, so this is guys the overview of entire newspaper, and now let's take all relevant articles one by one in detail. Now moving on, every class guys we take a GS quotation, and the idea of this GS quotation is to give you some substance so that you can complement these quotation in your GS answers or in your essay. So So today we'll take quotation from Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin says, an investment in knowledge always pays the skill development, investment in vocation development. The investment in these things will pay the best interest. It will lead to individual upliftment, as individuals will be given higher faculties of thinking because of knowledge, because of education. What will happen at the end of the day? Societal upliftment will happen. Also, economic upliftment of society happens when we have educated, skilled and trained workforce. These workforce can productively contribute in economy. When we talk about India, particularly India right now is going through the golden window of demographic dividend according to UNFPA. Golden window of demographic dividend 2020 to 2040 is this golden window when we will have the highest working young population. So right now it is very much important that we should follow this particular quotation. We should make huge investments in knowledge, in education, in skill development, in vocations, because that is something which is going to give interest to India in the long run. Okay, so please use this particular quotation. It can be used in GS paper number 2 social justice, GS paper number 3 human resource development, as well as in essay. Now moving on guys, I hope that you have got the idea. And so guys, again, as you might already be knowing, we are launching the GS4 foundation course on ethics. If you wish to join this particular course, you can enroll. For that you need to fill a Google form, and the link for the Google form is given in description box, or you can directly reach to our Telegram channel. From there you can fill that. The course is going to start on 23rd of August, and also I have made a detailed video on this yesterday, so you can check the yesterday's video. I have made that. Then moving on, first article for today. Now drones to monitor progress quality of assets produced at MG-Narega work sites. This particular article we are going to take with respect to GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 2, programs for poverty reduction, poverty alleviation, as well as under social justice we are going to take this particular article. Now before going on in this article, let's take some of basic background information that is needed. So basically when we talk about MG-Narega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Okay, it provides minimum of 100 day of paid employment, 100 day of paid employment to every rural household, Two things are needed to be kept in mind. Number one, it is not right now for urban India, though many states have come out with the urban employment guarantee scheme also. For example, Rajasthan. So Rajasthan last year has provided an urban counterpart of MG-Narega also, but at the union level this scheme is only for rural areas. Then 100 days of minimum paid employment is to be given. This is not to every person, this is to every household. Secondly guys, if the states want, they can give higher employment also. For example, 150 days, 180 days. If the states want, they can increase 100 day also. One second thing is that employment is to be provided for unskilled work. Employment is to be provided for unskilled work, not for the skilled work. Secondly, if there is no work site available, the people, they have to be reimbursed the money, they have to be given the money. Nobody could be denied. This is MG-Narega. Now when we talk about MG-Narega, there are many problems with respect to the MG-Narega that comes. Now just a minute. There are some problems that comes with respect to MG-Narega. Okay, fine, unskilled work. Now, when we talk about MG-Narega, there have been many problems with respect to MG-Narega. For example, there have been problems that often machines have been used at sites. Machines have been used at work sites. Now, when we talk about MG-Narega, under MG-Narega, manual labor is to be used. Machines are not to be used. This is one issue that comes. Often it has been found that the people who have worked at MG Narega site, they are not getting their wages on time. They are not getting their wages on time. But at the same time, there are also the ghost beneficiaries. There are also the ghost beneficiaries. For example, Mr. X has worked at MG Narega site. He has not received the wages. And in place of Mr. X, the wages have been given to another person, Mr. Y. Why wages have been given to Mr. Y? Because Mr. Y was some near relative of the Panchayat secretary, or at the Panchayat he had some corrections. So he is a ghost beneficiary who has not worked in MG Narega, but still he is being given the wages. So there are the machines that are being used, there are the wage issues that are there. Apart from the wage issues, the quality of assets that are being made, it is also a concern. For example, let's say by using the MG Narega labor, a community center is to be built. So the quality of that asset, quality of material that is being used, that is also a big concern. So therefore, there is a need to supervise the MG Narega work that is going on. And for these particular supervisions, now the government has come out with the technological solutions. Now, what are these technological solutions? According to the Union Ministry for Rural Development, now they have directed that all the state governments, they have to use drones to monitor the progress and the quality of assets that are being produced in the MG Narega. So drones are being used for 4 type of works. Number 1, drones are to be used for surveying the ongoing work. Let's say there is a work site on which 20 people are working. So for surveying, for monitoring that particular work site, basically the drones will be used. Second, inspecting the completed work. Whether the work got completed or not, or how much percentage the work got completed, for that drones are to be used. Third, impact assessment. By making or by developing a particular project, what impact got created? Fine, for that impact assessment. Then special inspection in case of complaints. Now many number of times, for example, there are the complaints that come, let's say that there is a bogus work site. For example, it is being claimed that this work site, we are making a particular project, but this is a bogus work site. There is no worker working here, there is no material that is being used here. Okay, but let's say that the authorities are still taking the money that we are doing the work here, so it is a bogus work site. So to survey these kind of work sites, if a particular person makes a complaint, then also drones will be used to ensure that no bogus work sites are there. Okay, now according to the standard operating procedure that has been issued to the state governments, it has been provided that there will be the ombudsman in every district. Ombudsman. Who is the ombudsman? Ombudsman will be a dedicated person who will be receiving the complaints, or can also register the suo motu complaints. For example, if somebody brings to his notice that there is such kind of a corruption is going on, suo motu, the ombudsman can register the complaint, and for that particular complaints investigation, the ombudsman will be using the drones, and these complaints have to be disposed within 30 days. Now, one more thing is that for this particular deployment of drones, state government will not be given some extra, no funding will be given to them. Basically, the funding that was given to them for MG Narega. Now, understand this particular thing. Let's say there is a state of, there is the state of Odisha. Odisha, let's say, have been given 100 crore rupee of money, or 100 crore rupees have been given to Odisha for implementation of MG Narega. Now, out of this 100 crore rupees, 10% can be used for overhead expenditures, administrative expenditures. Majority of money is to be used for buying the material for construction and for the wages, but 10% money can be used for administrative as well as for the overhead expenditures. From this particular 10% only, you need to arrange for the drones. And it has been provided that rather than purchasing the drones, the state governments should hire the drones from the agencies which are specializing in the drones. Now, by this particular thing also, what will happen, the startups which can offer the drone as a service, they will also get an indirect impetus. So this is also a positive thing that comes here. So these are, guys, all the developments in this particular respect. And one more additional development I just want to tell you. And if you are following our newspaper analysis regularly, you might already be knowing this particular thing, guys, that see, Basically, last year, government has also brought a technological reform in MG Narega, and that is this: it is now mandatory that the attendance of the workers on a particular MG Narega work site, that attendance has to be marked through the software, National Mobile Monitoring Software. So all the attendance are to be captured through a mobile based application. Earlier, there was a muster roll that was to be prepared, a physical register in which the attendance was to be marked, but now basically it is to be done also into the digital format. So this is, guys, all about this particular article, and I hope you are clear on this. And now moving to next article. Noble intention. So this particular article is talking about the Vishwakarma scheme that has been approved by cabinet. This thing we have seen yesterday also, but today there is a critical evaluation of this particular scheme that has come, which is very important for our examination. We'll take this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2 and GS paper number 3, social justice, as well as government schemes for improving the employability. Okay. Now, first of all, let me tell you about this scheme, and then we'll talk about the critical analysis. So, Prime Minister, in his Independence Day speech, announced the scheme for the upliftment of the craftsperson, for upliftment of artisans. And for that particular thing, now the PM Vishwakarma has been launched. PM Vishwakarma. Now, what is this PM Vishwakarma scheme? Under this PM Vishwakarma scheme, 18 category of traditional craftsmen, traditional artisans, traditional workers will be identified. And these workers, craftsmen, artisans will be provided the financial support. 3 lakh rupees of loan will be provided in 2 parts, 1 lakh and 2 lakh. 3 lakh rupees of loan will be provided at concessional interest rate of just 5 lakh rupee, 5%. Okay, and total outlay of 13,000 crore rupee have been identified for this particular scheme. As I told you, the 18 categories of craftsmen and artisan have been identified. Let me give you example. For example, cobblers, toy makers, laundrymen, barbers, mason, coir weavers. Like this, there are the 18 categories. If you want to see all of them in yesterday's analysis as well as yesterday's synoptic notes that I have given, I also covered there also. Now, this particular scheme is good. Why? Because it aims to solve the problem of credit accessibility by these people. Many number of time, these people, they want to expand their trade, they want to expand their business, but they don't have the accessibility of credit. They go to money lender, they go to informal credit channels, and there very high interest rates are charged. Now, here government is providing them the subsidized loans up to 3 lakh rupees. Very good. According to government, this particular scheme will benefit 5 lakh families in this 1 year, and it will cater to 30 lakh families over the next 5 years. Under this particular scheme, government also has provided that it will also support the Guru Shishya Parampara. Okay, now how Guru Shishya Parampara prevails here? So, Guru Shishya Parampara prevails within the family. A father will teach a skill to son, then that son will teach the skill to his son. This way, the skill or the heritage or traditional continuity is maintained within the family. That aspect will also be supported by the government. Then government also provided this particular thing that they will be given money, assistance. Also, after that, they will be given financial assistance. Second, they will also be promoting the skill acquisition within the family, intergenerational skills. Intergenerational skills within the family will also be promoted. Then third, their skill upgradation will also be done. Skill upgradation through the formal channels will also be done. Okay. They will also be provided the market reach. They will also be provided the market reach. Domestic markets as well as international markets. All these are the major features of this particular PM Vishwakarma scheme. Okay, moving on, guys. This particular article provides us that it is good that you're providing them the financial availability, but at the same time, this might also become a problem for them. How it might become a problem for them? See, The problem that these particular trader, for example, toy maker, doll maker, the problem that they face is that they don't have the patterns, they don't have market, they don't have a many number of buyers of their products. So if you don't provide them market and if you provide them credit, the point is that they will go more in the depth of debt. They will get more, basically they will face more of a problem of a debt. So rather than providing them finance, you need to provide them the better markets. So these people lack, they either face the lack of patronage for their goods or they lack a wider marketplace. So in the long run, this is something that is to be addressed. Okay, so this is something that is to be done. Then next problem that is being provided is that government is supporting the intergenerational knowledge dissemination. Okay, for example, father teaching his son how to make dolls, how to be a good cobbler. But point is that in these 18 trades, as we have talked about, they pay very less payments, they pay very less wages, they are not very much remunerative, and there might be a possibility that what happened, even the next generation might be stuck in perpetuity in these low paying trades. So always it is not good that they should do the same thing. If it is not very much remunerative, they should be shifted to some other kind of a work. So this could work against. And then the last issue is of the proper implementation. Now in India, problem is not of that we don't have schemes, the problem is not that we don't have good schemes, but the problem is that we don't have proper implementation. So implementation is very much important. And then we also need to bring the startups, fine, or we need to come out with such kind of a scheme that a kind of an entrepreneurship spirit is instilled in these people so that they can make themselves as a brand, and all such things can be done. So this is about it. I hope you have understood this article. And now moving to next article. Guys, there is one comment I can see, sir, video little bit breaking. Please confirm now, is the video working fine or not? If the audio is clear or not, please let me know. Then moving on, we have this article, fighting stereotypes. Now this article also will be seeing with respect to social justice as well as a social issue, GS1 and GS2 both, GS1 and GS paper number 2. Now, if you have followed the yesterday's article, we have seen okay, fine. So if you have seen the yesterday's article, we have taken this thing that Supreme Court has recently come out with handbook on combating gender stereotypes. Okay, one thing I would like to insist, guys, is that if you have not seen yesterday's video, please see this particular section where I have discussed the concept of sex versus gender and how the gender is a sociological construct which is responsible for social inequalities. So how gender leads to social inequalities, that concept I have detailed, I have discussed in detail, which can be important for our GS paper number 1, society understanding. Now, often in society we see this particular thing that there are the gender prejudices, gender stereotypes that are very much prevalent. And as per these gender stereotypes, we often see that the women, they are seen as submissive, they are seen as weak, they are seen that their character is very much fragile and their character is to be protected by whom? By men. And the women who are sexually active, the women who are more expressive in their choices, for example, the women who wear western dresses, the women who smoke, they are considered as of compromised character. The women who are sexually active, these women are seen as of compromised character. These gender stereotypes, these gender prejudices prevail in the society. And because of these gender prejudices, gender stereotypes, women are always seen as something which are weak, which need to be guarded, which are needed to be protected by male. And often negative tags are also imposed on the women. That goes on. But at the same time, in the courts also, there are particular type of words that are used for the women, and these words are problematic because these words reinforce the gender stereotypes. These words reinforce the gender prejudices. And for that particular thing, Supreme Court has issued this particular handbook on combating gender stereotypes. Supreme Court has provided particular type of terminologies, particular type of words that cannot be used in court complexes. And in place of particular words which are derogatory, other words, alternative words have been suggested by Supreme Court. For example, often there are these words that are used. For example, chaste women, women who are very much obedient to their husband, women who, let's say, women who are who have never maintained any physical sexual relation outside marriage. These women are referred to as chaste women. Fine. Dutiful wife, a wife who never questions husband and always hears to what husband has to say, they are called as a dutiful wife. Then words such as housewife is often used. These are words which are labeling women in a binary. For example, one women are chaste women, one women are disobedient women, one women are dutiful women wife, one women are undutiful, ungrateful wife. These kind of binary are being created, which is wrong, which is socially problematic. So therefore, Supreme Court provided in this handbook on combating gender stereotypes that rather than these words, what is a chaste woman and dutiful woman? A woman is a woman. Use a word woman. A wife is a wife. What does it mean? A career wife, housewife. Fine. A wife is a wife. So use the word wife. Use a word homemaker if you want. Fine. So this is something. Even for the men also, sometimes the derogatory terms are used. For example, effeminate. Effeminate. Effeminate is a negative term. Effeminate is a term that is used for those men who behave like women, talk like women, dress like women. Now, first of all, what is like a woman? There is nothing like a woman. Society has made these kind of binaries that, okay, this type of behavior, women like, this type of behavior, men like. So society, the people, the men who behave like women, they are called as effeminate. It is a negative term. It is not to be used. Then faggot, a person who is gay, he is negatively or derogatorily called as faggot. So these words cannot be used in the courts. Rather, a person is to be referred as homosexual, bisexual, or these words cannot be used. Now understand this particular thing, that whenever we are using a stereotype such as these or these, we are labeling that person. We are creating a negative perception, negative notion of that person. And under that negative perception, there might be a possibility that there will be a wrong course of justice that would be taken up. These stereotypes lead to exclusion. It leads to discrimination. As well as when these common presumptions are being considered, justice might not be very objective. Okay, this is something that happens. Moreover, this handbook also shatters some other kind of troubling viewpoints also. For example, it is often seen that women who do not wear traditional clothes, women who smokes, women who drink, they are asking for a trouble. They are asking for their sexual assault. It is often assumed in society. It is not right. It is not right. If women smokes, if women drinks, or if women wears any type of dresses, it is not a certificate for that women's character. Such things should not be there. That has also been provided. Often then, there are also many other stereotypes also that prevail in society. For example, women are considered as overly emotional. Women are considered as over emotional, illogical. It is seen that they cannot take their decisions, so men have to take decisions for them. Such kind of gender prejudices, gender stereotypes are also needed to be removed. Okay, so this is something, and this is a very good example that has been established by Supreme Court, and other courts also need to follow this. Okay, so that is all about it. I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll be moving to next article, Gaps in Birth and Death Registration Amendment Act. Now, this article will see with respect to GS paper number 1, population and related issues. GS paper number 1, population and related issues. Okay. Now, first of all, let me tell you some of basic background information, and then we'll go in details of this article. So basically, as of now, as of now, it is compulsory that if a child has been born, his registration is to be done compulsorily, as well as if a person has died, their registration has also to be done compulsorily. For this particular thing, we have Registration of Birth and Death Act 1969, which provides a compulsory registration of birth and death. Across India, it has to be done. And this particular 1969 Act is now amended through Registration of Birth and Death Amendment Bill 2023. We will see provisions of this particular amendment, and will also see some of problematic provisions which have been amended by this particular bill. Okay, so I hope that this background is clear. Now, first of all, when we talk about this new amendment that has come, objective of this new amendment is to create a national level as well as a state level database of registered birth and death. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that there are many of schemes which are to be delivered to, for example, a lot of people, and if you don't know how many number of beneficiaries are there, you cannot deliver a scheme effectively. Let me give you one example. For example, we have National Food Security Act. As per National Food Security Act, 66% of people in entire country, they are to be provided subsidized food grains, 3 rupees kg rice, 2 rupees kg wheat and 1 rupee kg coarse grains. See, just to give you a little bit more detail, 75% people in rural India are to be covered, 50% people in urban India are to be covered, and in total 66% people are to be covered. Okay, fine. How you now see, on basis of individuals that are there, we will give food, we will arrange for resource. But if we don't know how many people are there, how effectively we can deliver the food, how effectively we can deliver the resource, so we need to know the number of beneficiaries. For that particular thing, number of people that got birth and number of people that died, it is very much important. So by having this particular database of people who got birth, who died, we can by this particular database, we can update the database of many other schemes, and effective delivery of goods and services can happen. Okay, so it would help in updating other databases, resulting in efficient and transparent delivery of public service and the social benefits. Now, it has been provided that it is compulsory at the national level. Registrar General of India will maintain national level database, fine, which will contain birth and deaths, and at the level of state, Chief Registrar of Birth and Deaths will maintain state level database of birth and death. Fine. This is something that has been provided. Now, further, in case of a birth, suppose a child has been born. In case of a birth, Aadhaar number of parents will be used. In case of birth, Aadhaar number of parents will be used. But in case of death, how death will be registered? For death, they have not made Aadhaar compulsory. Fine. It is not mentioned that the Aadhaar number, fine. Nothing is mentioned about the Aadhaar number of a deceased person. Okay. So for Aadhaar, for dead person, for the death certificate, Aadhaar number is not being used, and it might lead to a very big problem. For example, if you are not using Aadhaar number of a deceased person, how you will verify that how many number of people died? Okay, how their name is to be deleted? Let's say a person, Mr. X was getting benefit under MG Narega. He was getting benefit under National Food Security Act. He was getting benefit under 10 more schemes. Now this person has died. So his Aadhaar number is to be deleted from all the schemes where he was taking the benefit. And therefore, in the death certificate also, his Aadhaar number has to be used. But that provision has not been made in this particular amendment. This is one problem that comes. Then after that, it is provided that it is compulsory that all deaths in medical institution, all death that is happening in hospitals, etc., they are to be registered, and a cause of death is also to be provided, that what is the reason a person died by cardiac arrest, a person died by lung failure, or what, that has to be the cause of death certificate has to be sent to the registrar of birth and death. Okay, and a certificate of death certificate has to be provided to a close relative also. Fine. But what about people who are dying outside the medical institution, outside the hospital? So it has been provided that if the people who have died outside the hospital, the medical practitioner who attended to this person in during their recent illness, they have to issue a certificate. Let's say there is this person. Let's say there is this person. This person died in the home, but before the death of this person, he was attended by a doctor. So this doctor has to issue the death certificate, and this doctor also has to issue the cause of the death of this person, why he died. Now, the article provides that it opens up many problems. Problem number one, fine. The medical practitioner might not have always arrived at a definite diagnosis before the person died. Let's say there is a 80-year-old person. This person was healthy. Just 2 days back, this person developed some complications. Doctor visited this person. But before the doctor could have verified that why this person is suffering, the person died. So definite diagnosis, definite cause has not been identified. Second thing, many number of times, many people are not taking the allopathic treatment. Many people are taking the Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddh, homeopathy treatment. So even if Ayurveda treatment, Ayurvedic cause of death is provided, how that is to be used by allopathic doctor, that particular record may not be usable for allopathy. Then next problem that comes in this particular direction is that, see, there might be a person that he was under treatment for a certain disease, can die of an entirely different cause. Let's say a person developed malaria. Let's say a person developed malaria and he was being treated for malaria, but he died for some other reason. Let's say while he was on malaria, okay, his blood sugar got out of control. He got cardiac arrest. So he was being treated for malaria, but actually he died of cardiac arrest. So these problems will come in this particular direction. Okay, so this is something that has been provided. However, I will not advise you to go too much in detail in this. However, as population and related issues is a separate topic that is given in GS paper number 1. So therefore, you need to be careful about it. Okay, that is all. Now, moving on to next article. Okay, is there a need to replace the IPC and CRPC and the Evidence Act? So we'll take this article with respect to GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2, polity, law and order, as well as reforms. Okay, which reforms? Criminal justice system reforms. Criminal justice system reforms. Now, first of all, guys, again, we have discussed this thing multiple number of times, but what we can do, if newspaper have only these articles, we cannot do anything. Fine. So the article is talking about recent bills that have been introduced in Parliament to amend IPC, CRPC and Indian Evidence Act. Okay. Now, if we see here, you see, Union Home Minister introduced 3 bills in Parliament. Number 1 is Bharatiya Nyay Samhita bill, and this Bharatiya Nyay Samhita will replace Indian Penal Code 1860. Then Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Samhita bill, it will replace Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. And then Bharatiya Sakshya bill, it will replace Indian Evidence Act. Bharatiya Sakshya bill, it will replace Indian Evidence Act 1872. Now, argument that is being made is that these bills were too old. For example, if you take the example of IPC and Indian Evidence Act, these bills are these acts are nearly 150-year-old and even more than that. So they don't reflect the present circumstances, present society. So therefore, they are being replaced. It has been said that these laws, they were not reflecting changing values and democratic aspirations. So therefore, they are being changed. Now, in this particular article, it has been provided that though some good things have happened, though there are some positive things that have come, but at the same time, there are certain other things which are problematic in these particular bills. One thing I want to tell you before I discuss this article is that now they have been referred to a select committee. That committee will submit its report. Then they will be brought in parliament. In parliament, discussion, debate will happen. And then finally, these particular bill will be converted in an act. And by that time, a lot of changes might come here. So you are not really required to track microscopically provisions. Okay, let's discuss them one by one. Now, first of all, it has been provided this particular thing, that first issue that comes here is that earlier bill, that is IPC, CRPC, Indian Evidence Act, they were not reflecting to democratic norms, democratic values, present welfarist society. They were colonial laws and they always have a colonial hangover. So therefore, they should be replaced. That is one thing. Second thing that comes here is that, guys, see this particular thing, that when you talk about IPC, when you talk about CRPC, many procedures, for example, Indian Penal Code talks about different type of punishments and all such kind of things. But you need to understand that these provisions in itself are not complete. Many judgments have evolved over a period of time. Even in these 75 years, Supreme Court, High Court, many other courts have delivered thousands and thousands of judgment on the provisions of IPC, CRPC. And often, provision of IPC, CRPC is to be read along with the judgment of a court. By that, their evolution has happened. So there are large number of case laws, there are large number of precedents that have been developed by the judiciary. Then today cases are dealt. But if you change all of that, these case laws, these precedents, the standards of jurisprudence that have developed over the years by Supreme Court, by Supreme Court, by High Court, they will be lost. One thing. Second thing is that there are some specific provisions that become problematic. For example, keeping a person in detention without being charged. So in India, we have preventive detention, where you can keep a person in detention even without a person committing a crime. You can keep a person in detention. Around the world, detention is being debated. Around the world, detention is being debated. See this particular thing. Scotland, you can keep a person in detention for maximum 6 hours. But in India, a person can be kept in detention for 60 days in earlier laws. But now this bill proposes detention for 90 days. So we are going back. It is said that we are going back. So this is something which is problematic. Then next thing, it has been said that there are a lot of discretionary powers that have been given to police. For example, right to handcuff. Police can handcuff, can put those hatkadis, handcuff. But Supreme Court very clearly have provided, for example, in DK Basu versus State of West Bengal, that people should not be handcuffed. But here you have given that. So it shows that actually we are going back in time. We are going back in time. Then next thing is that this is good, that actually terrorist acts have also been identified under these new bills. Good. But actually the definition of terrorism has been given a very wide meaning. For example, if you damage property, that could constitute a terrorist act. Fine. If you have intimidated or provoked the government, fine, that could be considered as a terrorist act. Anything can provoke government, anything can intimidate government. So that can also be taken as a terrorist act. The point is that there is a possibility of abuse of these laws also that can happen. Then the next, sixth. Now this is a very important and a unique point. See, guys, largely due to the Bollywood, people have actually developed a knowledge as what section 302 means. Fine. So in all the old Bollywood movies, the judge will be used section 302, 302. So people know it is for murder. 420 is for cheating. Okay. So and 420 is very popular also. So 420 is for cheating, 302 is for murder. Likewise, 379 is for punishment for theft, 395 is punishment for dacoity. Many of the provisions even common man know. But now by these new bills, all these section numbers will also change. So common public's knowledge about the law might decline. So it was provided that some popular provisions, their number should have been kept unchanged. Also, it might lead to the problem of documentation in the National Crime Record Bureau. So National Crime Record Bureau maintains how many crimes under a particular section happened. So compiling them might become a big problem. So this is something. Then the next provision that comes here is that, see, now section 377, section 377, it criminalized homosexuality. Section 377 criminalized homosexuality. But in Navtej Singh Johar judgment, Supreme Court said that no, homosexuality cannot be criminalized because some men, some women might be through consensual relations are in homosexual relations. So Navtej Singh Johar case, section 377 got decriminalized. Now what has happened? The government has removed the section 377. Okay, fine. But what about the rape in case of adult men or the rape of transsexual men? So adult men, they might be raped. Okay, there, this is the same sex, they might be raped. How? In that cases, the punishments will be made. And then next issue that comes here is that, one good thing is that it has been provided that once a trial is concluded, within 30 days, the punishment, or within 30 days, final judgment is to be given. So a time bound jurisprudence has also been added, which is good, and only 2 adjournments are allowed. So this is something that has happened. So it is a mixed bundle. Some things are good, some things are might not be that good. Okay. Now moving to the next article. WHO chief asks nation to unlock power of traditional medicine. Now see this thing, guys. Right now, 2023, India is chairing G20. And as India is chairing G20, under G20, many themes have been taken up: climate change, sustainable energies, renewable energies, and even medicine. So as right now, the G20's meet is going on in Gandhinagar. WHO chief had said that traditional medicines are also to be explored. For example, India has Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, homeopathy. These traditional medicines are also to be explored. We have given reliance to modern medicines, that is the allopathy, but along with allopathy, these traditional medicines can also be promising and provide even better results. And even if I tell you, government has already started the integrated medicine concept. What is integrated medicine? Government had said that with the allopathy, we will also be using the Ayurveda, fine, and we'll see that how better it performs. So this suggestion has now been given by WHO also. So it provides that they should work towards unlocking the power of traditional medicines, and on the basis of the evidence, actionable strategies, they should be implemented. That is all about it. Nothing more beyond this has come in this article. And then mains practice question for today. The question reads that usually laws are changed when they become obsolete. Are there any provisions in IPC, CRPC and Indian Evidence Act that according to you are being misused? Okay, so that is all for today. And with this, we came to an end to the today's session. Now guys, we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much. There's one question, sir. In recent bills, many bill introduced in Rajasthan. Why? See, state governments also have the power to come out with the laws. So they are the state bills introduced in Rajasthan. Every state has a power to legislate on certain subjects. So these states will be coming out with the bill. So fine, it happens.